Yo, what up? It's me, Frankie G. I am the reigning Skunk Master General, and welcome to this Skunk Cast. The purpose of this video is to tell everybody what is going on with the OG Skunk project. It's coming, the mint is coming to a close. It will be closing in 7 days from the recording of this. August 7th is the final day for you to be able to mint an OG Skunk. If you don't know, the OG Skunks is an NFT project created by the CanaCrew to bolster our existing community. Here's a little background on the OG Skunks. If you didn't know, the OG Skunks, the mint opened on August 7th, 2022. It was open for 1 year, 12 months. And we're coming up on that right now. The community has grown since then. We started off, we thought maybe we had a list of who we thought would mint skunks, and we thought it'd be 20 people tops. And no, actually, it turns out there's 47 skunk holders now. There's 100 skunks minted at the time of this recording, and there's 7 days to mint more. Now, we started off with a goal of 420. That's the maximum amount of OG skunks that can be minted. We wanted a small amount. We actually were thinking about 100 at first, but then we're like, you know what? Let's do 420. Let's go for it. We had three main goals when we decided to make this project over a year ago. The first was to kind of create a membership program within the CanaCrew. We had a lot of questions on how do I join the crew? What do I do to be in the CanaCrew? And it's just like an all-encompassing community. There's not really you can join the crew, you know, sign up for the email list on the website, join Discord, get involved kind of thing. But there wasn't like a thing. And we had gone back and forth between like a membership, monthly membership kind of thing, which a lot of clubs and lounges and stuff do, or certain models on how to do this. And we decided with an NFT because at the time NFTs were popping. I'm very bullish on crypto in general being kind of like the wave of the future. And NFTs are a part of that. And if you understand NFTs, you know why. If not, we can talk about that at a different time. The second goal was to create the Skunk DAO. And what we wanted was to, okay, you got this membership. Well, it's membership deep within the crew. The skunks don't control the CanaCrew per se, but the skunks do control something. And so we're creating that something right now. And all of the funds that have been used to mint new skunks go into a single skunk wallet, and the Skunk DAO is, aka the skunk holders, are in control of that wallet. So we could do anything. We could start business projects. We could buy something. We could invest in something. We could just stake it and earn the rewards and do whatever we want. So like we have options, the skunks, we need to come together, form the DAO, decide what we're excited about and all that. Another thing we wanted to do, this is a long-term goal of the CanaCrew, is we want to have the skunk lounge, or the skunk lodge. We want to be to have a clubhouse, a place to go. We want the skunks to kind of be like a club within the smoker community, within the cannabis community that kind of helps each other out, and we get, special stuff. So for instance, we have Blow.Glass, which is an online crypto only smoke shop. We have Trapper Dan Clothing, which is an outfitter. We're going to get into some custom hats, kind of like the one you see here. And, we had the Cana Gaming League at the time of creating this. So the skunks were to be incorporated in all of these things. We get discounts at Blow. They have opportunities to go in on wholesale orders with us and get your pieces as close to the base level as possible. With Trapper Dan Clothing, you have the options to like create custom clothing if you're a skunk. As far as the CanaCrew goes, you get access to our events. We do a monthly skunk sesh that you're allowed to come to, and all these things. And we're constantly building and adding to the value of these. The original roadmap actually puts a purpose for the Skunk Wallet and the funds minted by the skunks. And originally we wanted to create a DApp. We wanted to create a single Web3 DApp that you could hook up to with your wallet. If you had the skunk, you get certain levels of access, but you could buy Blow glass pieces. You could do Trapper Dan stuff on there. We wanted to implement some kind of like wagering system on KGL games, which that's on pause right now, and just different kind of stuff. We want to make a DApp that was kind of like a home for the crew and all the things we do. skunks were in charge and skunks stood to benefit the most. That's still on the roadmap, and we could still do that. And talking to skunks, there's still elements of that they want to keep in place, but it is ultimately up to the DAO that is created upon the closing of the mint as to whether or not, we continue to do that or do something else with the Skunk Wallet or as the Skunk DAO. It is to us. It is, we are the board. We make the choices. The second part of that was another mint down the road after we completed this one and got things going and got to a point where we felt comfortable doing this, and there was enough demand on the skunk project and the things we were doing to justify dropping a second mint, where the funds from that mint would then go to build a clubhouse for the skunks, like a real life physical property that the skunks would own and operate and whatever. However, we had to figure that out. Once it closes, we start the formation of the DAO. So we get together, we decide our structure, our organization. It's not going to be an overnight thing, how we want to do, and then what we want to do. And we'll figure that out amongst ourselves and yada yada. As of right now, there's only 100 skunks minted. I've talked to a lot of people who have a lot of plans to mint more skunks within the next 7 days, myself included. So it will be higher than 100, I'm assuming. However, there's 420 max. So we have now the proposal of what I am calling Operation Skunkenheimer. Skunkenheimer would be the DAO taking action before the mint is closed, okay? And what we would do is we would take all the funds, because every time you mint, the funds minus the fees, it costs 102 ADA to mint. Every time you mint, 100.8 ADA go into the Skunk Wallet. Now, the skunks are in control of that. We could theoretically create some type of minting loop where we mint the skunks with the Skunk Wallet. We send out 102 ADA to the contract. We get back 100.8 ADA and a skunk. And we could do that infinitely. And we have like 8,700 ADA in there right now. We could do that infinitely till all the skunks are minted into the Skunk Wallet. We would control the skunks. We would then decide what would happen with those extra skunks. Right now, it'd be 320 of them. We could post them for sale. We could use some of them promotionally. There's been talk about distributing some of them amongst the current skunk holders. I'm not endorsing that idea. I'm just telling you what people have been talking about. There's a few benefits of that. One is we would ensure that there's 420 OG skunks. That's what we set out. It was kind of an arbitrary number to begin with. There's a reason why we picked it, though, if you can pick up on why. And, but it's not necessary to the project that we have 420 skunks at all. But if we did this, we would mint all the skunks, and then we would be able to potentially grow our ranks more, right? There'd be more opportunities potentially for newcomers to join the project, which is good. We like that. However, they would be purchasing directly from the skunks, right? Because we would list them on the secondary or determine a mechanism for getting rid of them. They would purchase them directly from the skunks for the most part. Whereas if we just close the mint now without launching Skunkenheimer, then the only way a new person could get a skunk is by buying them from somebody who already has one. Granted, there's about so everyone that comes to the skunk sesh regularly, which the last one we went to, we had like 15 people show up, which was pretty dope. We had a nice meal. It was kind of cool. But those people, none of them are getting rid of their skunks. I'm pretty sure those people are all holding on to them. Now, some people have multiples, right? And they'd probably get rid of some of them, but you'd have to get them off of them. Granted, about half of the people who own skunks right now are randos on the internet who are not very involved and do not participate in things like Discord and whoop-de-woo. They're there, but they're not active, right? And that's to be expected. I would assume that those people would be more likely to come off of their skunks, especially if we were recruiting new people and they were trying to buy them. I think that that's what would happen. But I digress. So Skunkenheimer would allow us the ability to expand past 100 tokens right now, right? If there's 100 tokens, there's 100 maximum OG skunks. If there's 420, there's 420 maximum OG skunks. And I'm talking about the holders, skunk holders. Granted, I have 11 right now, so that's, I'm already messing up the percentages, and there's some whales amongst us. With the 420, we allow more people to join the OG skunks. We have control over distribution, which is kind of nice in terms of like promotional. If we wanted to maybe get a benefit out of somebody else's community or establishment or business or whatever for the skunks, to me, it makes sense to be like, okay, you're helping us out. Now you're part of our skunk thing. And then we give them a skunk or however many or whatever. I think that that's definitely possible in terms of bartering, and that could behoove us. A lot of people who are like crypto savvy and experienced with NFTs might not like the idea that the DAO just kind of scooped up all the rest of the skunks. It could be seem kind of weird and kind of like we're controlling more of it than they want us to, potentially. So that's a potential drawback where we might get negative views from the greater crypto community. However, I don't really think that matters too much. I mean, it's nice, and we're more likely to get crypto savvy people to get skunks than non, I think. But at the end of the day, we're just worried about the Skunk DAO and how the skunk's doing and whatnot as the crew. That's what we're concerned about. So what other people think of it is irrelevant, I think. Another potential con, if you look at it, there's no con if all the skunks are minted. Like, that's not an issue. The issue, I think, comes when you say, okay, and this is expressed by people at the skunk sessions, okay, we have these 100 OG skunks that are minted now, and then we're talking about minting 320 or less, however many are left, into the Skunk Wallet. Is there a way to distinguish between the people who minted before it was closed and then to distinguish between Skunkenheimer skunks? And there isn't, unless we like distribute a token or something, but then wallet addresses change, and then you have to transfer, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So no, there really isn't a way to distinguish between OG skunks and Skunkenheimer skunks. And so that I think that's a potential setback, because I think it's natural for us to be like, well, the OG skunks should be hooked up, the people who actually minted before the thing's closed. And so there's been suggestions about distributing those skunks amongst the holders, or giving everyone a 1-for-1 and then holding on to the rest of them or whatever. And I don't really like any of that. I think that that's just trying to like split hairs or something like that. When I think that the real value, if we were talking about hooking up the OG skunks and the people that are holding it, I think the only way we do that really is by cutting the mint, not minting anymore. However many are there, and the value of all of those skunks is more than if there was 420. Each skunk is worth more if there's 100 than if there's 420. The pros from before for Skunkenheimer, I think, are not lost if we end the mint, right? Like, we could always create a second mint at some point to include more people. We could always do that. Give them a little less access to certain stuff, make it kind of like a tier system. We can also give, and this was part of the plan when we mint a second project to raise money for the clubhouse, all the OG skunk holders would get a free tier 2 NFT, right? Like the new one, they'd all get that. And I think that's how we really hook up the OG skunks. There'll be time in between those two things, though. That's the big difference. So the big difference is with Skunkenheimer, we'd be able to overnight on the 8th, if we had it set up to what we were going to do, we'd be able to sell skunks to new people, like off a table or whatever. And we could come up with, however, they wouldn't necessarily have to mint it to their wallet. We could figure out a different way to trade it or pay or whatever. We'd be completely in control of that. So like, that's good. So we'd be able to do that right away. However, if we just let it mint out, we just let the mint close and keep it at wherever it's at, there's going to be time in between the end of this mint and the beginning of the next one, because we're not going to just end this and start a new one. I don't think that that's prudent. I think that it's going to take some time, and we're going to have to get to a point where those ones are starting to sell off the secondary, and maybe the cost is prohibitive, or maybe the available for sale supply is prohibitive to new people coming in, where we're at a point where we want new people. At that point, we'll start the new project. Pro that we cannot do at all without Skunkenheimer is the promotional aspect. We won't be able to give away any skunks. We won't be able to use skunks as negotiation, because they'll only be owned by individuals. The DAO won't own any of them. So the only skunks we give away would have to be donated by members, by skunk holders, to the DAO to use for whatever. We won't have that without Skunkenheimer, unless we do like a quasi Skunkenheimer where we like mint 10 of them or something, and then we have those for promotional uses. or something, which we could decide. Regardless of what happens, Skunkenheimer or no, the next things that will be happening is the creation of the Skunk DAO. Once the mint closes, whether or not we have all of them or not, we will be creating the DAO, deciding what we want to do, deciding how we want to be organized, and putting all that into effect. So that's going to happen, Skunkenheimer or not. Difference is the second step will change if we go through with Skunkenheimer. If we go through with Skunkenheimer, we're going to have to create the DAO and then decide what to do with all these skunks we now own as the DAO. Without Skunkenheimer, we just create the DAO and then go about our business. If you have a skunk, definitely keep your eyes on Discord and the stories and whatnot we'll post and make sure. We're going to have some kind of skunk hall meeting and we'll give everyone an opportunity to talk, ask questions. We'll get all this hashed out. And then immediately after that, we'll open the voting for what we should do. And then all the skunks will be allowed to vote on what we do. And then we'll do what they say. It's kind of like the first action as the Skunk DAO. And it'll be before the mint closes in 7 days. So in a couple days, we'll have this skunk hall and then we'll vote and then we'll take action or not. If you don't have a skunk, the mint is still open. 102 ADA gets you one in and out. If you have any questions, hit me up. But so get involved, you can come talk at the skunk hall maybe, or at least watch if you don't have a skunk. You can't vote though if you don't have a skunk. So if you want to be involved in the shape that this takes, you got to mint a skunk. If you're thinking about getting a skunk, you can see it's going to be difficult to get a skunk in 8 days. After this next week, once the mint closes, it's going to be, regardless of what we do, it's going to be more difficult to get a skunk. Right now, all you need is 102 ADA and you show up at the website, mint.canacrew.com, and you mint it. That's it right now. It's super easy. Once we get past that though, it's not going to be that simple. So if you want to get involved, if you want to get a skunk, right now is the time. And that's all there is to it. It'll cost you like, ADA's 31 cents right now. So it costs you like 32 bucks, 35 out the door, and you'll be good. Mint is closing. The skunks are alive and active. We're doing our thing. Most of these NFT projects are, remember, they all used to be super hype and then no function, and they try to figure out the function. Well, we're the opposite. We don't have a lot of hype, right? Because we already have a community that we're fucking with these OG skunks. All these other projects are max hype, no function. We're little hype, max function. Want to get involved? The mint's closing soon. We're considering Skunkenheimer, where we mint all the rest of them, but we're not sold on it, and we had to have a discussion. This is your reigning Skunk Master General. I bid you good morrow and good day.